Yo, once again, it is a Friday, which means it is the day for a crossover sports podcast, rocking out with Amina and Matt. Trey will be in momentarily, I presume. We are here on a Friday night. Matt, why don't you go ahead and reintroduce yourself?
Hello, it's Matt. I'm a little under the weather, but I'm gonna struggle on, to fight on, to get these hot takes on, and hopefully I feel better because this is nonsense for a summer.
Amina, go ahead.
What's up, y'all? It's Amina. Reintroducing myself to new viewers. Rocking out with everyone. Hope you enjoy it tonight.
All right, so as we always start this podcast, we're going to start it off with our crossover hot takes. And guys, we're going to start off with this guy at UCLA, a quarterback at UCLA. He said that his name is Josh Rosen. He is a top quarterback prospect out of UCLA. And he says that being in school and having a full-time football schedule does not mix. What are the thoughts? What are the thoughts of the people on the podcast? Matter of fact, I'll start. Matt and I were having an interesting discussion about this off air. When it came to this man's thing, and honestly, we have these discussions, Trey, Matt, and I, where we talk about because we're all athletes. We're all athletes at one point, but we're not. I think Matt was the only one that went collegiate, so Matt could speak to this a little bit too. That as an athlete, and it's overblown in college, where you have your schedule of classes, and then you have your practice times. Your practice times never change, so you have to schedule your classes around your practice times, and vice versa. So you have a lot going on, and his comments make sense. They're honest comments. He's saying that he's an econ major. He wants to do school. He wants to be in class. He wants to be a student. He goes to UCLA. That is a very hard school to get into. He made some good points. He made some very good dynamic points that, for him, because he's a quarterback, he spends a lot more time in the film room studying. He does a lot of that stuff, and it's very hard for him to, do all that, do well in the football field, and do well in the classroom. And it's a marvel that some of these athletes can do it. And this just speaks volumes. I'm not going to try to jump ahead of myself, but this just speaks to what I'm going to say for our next topic. But it's time to pay the players. These players do everything. It is a full-time job. The college football is a glorified minor league for the NFL, just like NCAA basketball is the minor league before the D League for the NBA. And I know some college football and college basketball fans don't really like us saying that, but yes, what you love and what's coming up is a minor league. That's how a lot of people look at it. It's a farm system, as Matt would say, using a baseball term. The NCAA football is a farm system for the NFL, just like NCAA basketball is a farm system for the NBA. Yes. Go ahead, Matt.
From being like you said, being a college athlete yourself, the hardest thing to do is to manage your time. Even though you have to do practices and everything else. You got to travel with the team. You have to have a life, and more we're seeing. Let's back up. I'm gonna back up a little bit. The way athletes, student athletes, are being, for lack of a better term, treated is crazy. I mean, the fact that you play the sport and you have to practice at least 3 hours a day, depending on the sport. You use about 2 to 4 hours a day to go out and perform, and also you have to perform in class. Sometimes you have to miss class, or you try to work around your schedule to get say classes and set schedules and whatnot. But when you took, I remember I was also reading where Ohio State football player said similar to this, and later on his Twitter, only to recant it, delete it for it, and kind of not understand, okay, what I said was not cool, basically. However, I look at it this way. You're a sophomore quarterback, basically, right now. I'm gonna wait 2 years because the maturing process isn't there yet. But yes, it is a lot to do. It is a lot to pick up, and I'm not trying to handle myself either, but it's a lot. It is a lot. So for anyone to set for it, no, it's a lot. It's just a lot. You try to do your work, and also do an activity that you love to do. In this case, it's football. It's football. So either way, you gotta have to find a happy medium somewhere. You gotta have a happy medium somewhere, because if you don't have that happy medium, you're gonna drive yourself crazy. So it's important for these athletes to really find, that happy medium where you can handle sports, football, and your life. So that's where, and I'm trying not too much ahead of myself and try not to throw things already, because we got a whole lot of podcasts to do. So, Amina, you got the floor on this one.
I agree with what you all said. It even goes back to athletes in grade school. Um, Athletes in grade school all the way up to college, they struggle. I mean, you got tryout practices, traveling, games, pep rallies, this, that, and the third. And at what point do they study? I mean, it's only 24 hours in a day, so it's only so much you can squeeze in. So yes, I do think academics and athletics conflict with each other scheduling wise. I mean, you have some situations where in colleges and universities, you have the players, they have finals coming up, and they have to midterms or finals, and they have to sacrifice playing a big game possibly to pass the course so they can move on with their degree, or they may have to miss out on an important event for their team and because they have a project or a big paper due. I don't know what could be done, but school and full-time football schedules most of the time don't match, and coaches they care about their academics, but they really don't care. Like, it's more so win as many games as possible so the school can have another trophy to their name. But then again, the professors don't care. They're like, either you play the game or you do what you're supposed to do in my class so you can get the best grade possible so I can give you the credits for the course to go on your transcripts. So, I don't know. Like, should it be a requirement for students to just be part-time students and full-time athletes, or just you have to pick one or the other, school or academics? I don't know, but it does conflict. I mean, some athletes in these schools don't receive grades because they earned them. They got them because they were given to them because they're the big time athlete on campus, and no one can fail that athlete. It would be scandalous. So I don't think it's fair as well to other students that sometimes athletes get certain time away from classes and work that other students don't. So school and full-time football schedules do collide, and it shows by how many athletes actually make it to graduation, which is few and far in between at some schools. So that's what I have to say.
Yeah. There's some strong thoughts here. Moving on to our next one, which I hope nobody blew their load before. But on to our second one, which is, should the NCAA just pay the players and stop with the fake amateurism? Now, I didn't really get a chance to talk about the Donald Delahaye stuff, so that's covered in this one. That goes along with Josh Rosen's comments as well. I think that I think the NCAA should just pay the players. I beat this drum the more and more we talk about this. Every time we talk about this on this podcast, I think it's ridiculous. As Amina and Matt have pointed out, that coaches in schools can make millions to billions of dollars and build new college stadiums on the backs of these players and not get any money. And the players just don't get any money. Besides, people have been saying for too long that, getting a 4-year scholarship is payment enough. No, it's not. As we talked about, it's not payment enough for all the classes that you have to miss and the stress and the mental stress that you have when you're trying to schedule all your classes before your 4 o'clock football practice, your 4 o'clock basketball practice, your 4 o'clock softball practice, whatever it is, right? People have to schedule. There's no help for these athletes mentally. Matter of fact, we just had a local athlete a couple of years ago. I think she was a track runner for Penn who committed suicide because, the classes and the pressure on her going to an Ivy League school and being an athlete was just too much. She just couldn't bear it, right? So that just speaks to what we don't prepare these athletes, not just for college, but for the mental, for everything that goes into being a student athlete, right? Because if we really think about it, being a student and being an athlete are two combative things. They're not the same thing. You can't be a student and be an athlete. Sure, it was easy in the lower schools, but it's not as easy in college because schools come to depend on their main athletics. The basketball and the football, I know, is what we generally talk about, but baseball athletes, even the athletes in college have to do this delicate dance of balancing everything. And I think that they should just be paid. I've said this before on this podcast. It should just be a stipend. Like you pay You pay RAs a monthly stipend. Why don't you pay your athletes a monthly stipend? I mean, these colleges make like $2 million a game, or however much it is per game, on the backs of these athletes, and don't give them anything besides say we give you a 4-year education. Nah, it's time to pay these athletes. I don't care if Nick Saban and them got to have their salaries cut so athletes can get the money they deserve. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of this fake amateurism, this junior slave trade that we have, for lack of a better term, when it comes to college athletics. That these athletes are just slaves to the institution because they gotta be there if you're a basketball player for 1 year. If you're a football player for 2 to 3 years, they're slaves to these institutions because they know that they can't take the next step without these colleges. So that's where I'm at. They should be, just to be clear, they should be paid monthly stipend. Go ahead, Matt.
Look, I agree with you. Remember, you have sponsors, you have a whole slew of people and companies where money is tied into the sports side of college. Here's where I agree with the monthly stipend thing. Now, it's crazy that colleges pay head coaches exorbitant amounts of money, like I said, if they're in the NFL. And mind you, I don't know how every athletic program is around the country as far as college is concerned. Every school is different, every conference is different. However, okay. However, you can't sit here and say we're giving you education, which is fine, well, then it's great. But there are some kids there who are not there for the school, and I'm telling you, they're not there for school. They're there to just play the sport, get drafted, and call it a day. If you need to make education number one, you need to do that. If you're making sports your driving force for recruiting, okay, fine. But still, you gotta pay. The major sports that do a lot of play football and basketball, okay, cool. But you have to think about, this is where it gets kind of hairy. If you're going to pay these monthly stipends to all the athletes, not just football, basketball, you got some track and field, gymnastics, just to name a few, you have to divvy that up. I mean, yeah, football's going to make a lot of money. It's a very big program. Basketball, it's kind of the same thing. It depends on what school. Sometimes baseball, sometimes track, sometimes whoever. Volleyball, you name it. If you say all of them gotta get paid, okay, you gotta find a way to budget that. However, this is from my experience. Sometimes schools will give certain sports budgets, mostly to eat and travel and stuff like that. I'm all for it, but it's the budgeting part of it, because I know when I was playing baseball, we had money for the bus, money to eat. For example, we were like small community college, for God's sakes, but still, we went out to like Wendy's or whatever the case may be, and they get grab something to eat after the game and whatever. And that's fine. That's fine. But you gotta be when it comes to budgeting. To say, okay, this like football players get X money and basketball players get Y money. It's a very, very tricky. It's a very, very tricky thing. Very tricky. So I'm all for it, but you gotta be careful. Remember, travel, food expenses, and other things that other equipment that certain sports need. So yeah, it depends on the budget. It really does. That's as I'm thinking about it more. It's like the way we're looking at it from external. They get so much money doing X, Y, Z. What about the players? Now, like I said, I'm all for it, but how it's going to get budgeted, it's up. It's up to the school. So either the tactics of the NCAA has to change, or they have to tone it down. Whereas, okay, enough's enough. You can't treat these athletes like as if they're your property. They're not. They are someone else's kid. They're not working for you. It's like an internship. It's like they're working out an internship, an unpaid internship, which, by the way, is basically borderline illegal. So that's where I stand on it. I'm okay with it, but it depends on their budgeting and how they handle their money. So that's where I'm at. Next.
Amina, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with what Matt said. I feel as though athletes, like I said, in these schools, whether it's a college or university, they're putting in all this time with practices, if they have pep rallies, events, um, community involvement, just anything involving the sport or, school related events that promote the team. They're doing all this stuff, plus playing games and, representing the school, but they're not getting, um, what's the word, compensated for it. It's like anything else. I mean, can't have people interning somewhere, as Matt said, in today's society due to new laws on the book without offering them some type of financial compensation. It's borderline slave labor. You give all your services, you're not benefiting from it. You're not getting it. And even with a 4-year full ride scholarship, that's still not financial. That just helps pay for your courses, room, board, books, and some meals. That doesn't pay expenses you have in your life. It doesn't take care of a family if you have one or desire one. So the players in the NCAA, they need to be paid not as much as professionals that are actually in it, like the professional leagues, but paid something so they can actually get used to it before they get to the big league. Pay them what they're worth, just like professionals. They're not on the same level, but a student pay as a stipend, as Tyler said. Make it make your teams appealing, not so much uniforms and what the teams are known for, how many championships they won. Make it appealing. Make people want to come to the team. Show them that we're just not after, to use you and your body and your energy. Wants to help you too. I mean, one hand washes the other. So yeah, compensating them would be the best thing possible because they are putting in so much time, and some are taking time away from things that they really should be doing to do something that actually benefits since I'm old school. So that's what I feel about that. And I guess Kylan has something to say. We can move on to the next topic.
All right. All right. All right. Moving on to the. Moving on to our next one. So we're gonna go to Donald Trump and the war words that he's having with Kim Jong Un. Go ahead,
Did you say me or Matt?
Go ahead, Amina. I said you.
Donald Trump and his war words in North Korea. Um, well, the last time Korea was, North Korea and all that was talked about as much as it's being talked about recently. It was when actually Korean War happened in 1950 to 1953. The country is definitely in a position where it's created a whole lot of enemies, including North Korea. So Donald Trump can keep treading hard and not lightly and tick Kim Jong Un and his people off. And they're just going to release the missile. I mean, they already talked about sending one to Hawaii, which I will hope not, because I know someone that lives there with her children and grandchildren. So I will hope not Hawaii. But it's an interesting relationship in air quotes between our president and Kim Jong Un. It's not, anything nice. It's more like a nonstop beef, just arguing, not getting along. So if they want what they want, they can do it. I mean, why keep talking about it, not actually doing anything? Other than that, this is just media entertainment for right now. Hopefully, nothing crazy pops off, and that we all survive it if it does pop off. But as time goes on, I'll have more to say about this, but I don't at the time because it's just crazy. So,
All right, go ahead, Matt.
Why do I have a 9-year-old at the controls? Why do I have a 9-year-old run the country? Dude, I don't front.
calm down.
No. See, y'all took a
simmer
sick,
down.
y'all took a sick man and just riled him up.
Simmer down.
Now, here you go. Number one. I don't blame Kim Jong Un, honestly. I really don't blame him. I'm like, he's showing the world that he does not take Donald Trump's threats seriously. Now, unfortunately, I don't blame him. Unfortunately. I will say this. I can't believe I'm saying this. Let's see what Mr. 45 really got to do. What is he going to do? Now, one thing he needs to do is get off the Twitter. Lay off the Twitters. Stay off the Twitter. Someone take his Twitter. Someone dismantle the Twitter. Get him off the personal Twitter thing. Okay? Because so far, Twitter has been his worst enemy. Not his best friend, his worst enemy. Now, that's number one. Number two, as an American, you expect Donald Trump to do something. But remember this, Donald Trump kind of started this in a sense, because, this is my opinion on this one here, it's because, frankly, he's been, what's how to put this? Goading people into, thinking he's big, bad, and tough. Well, guess what? somebody is saying, well, I'm better than you. I don't like Kim Jong-un at all. He's like my age, and frankly, as far as I'm concerned, whatever. But he is to be taken seriously. I do not have faith in this White House. I do not have faith in this administration. I never had faith in this administration since day one. And you expect me to take this man seriously? I wish I can. But as soon as he started tweeting about North Korea recently, my faith in his execution of doing his job went from 15% to 5.3. I don't have faith in this man at all. I don't have faith in his inner circle, the turmoil, Russia. No. I'm afraid that this. I gotta be very nice about this word here. Idiots, both idiots, basically, are trying to start war. North Korea is trying to start a war with the U.S. U.S. don't want no war. We ain't got time for it. We don't want no business with North Korea. Honestly, we want no beef with North Korea. I don't want no beef with North Korea. Honestly, I'm like, look, I don't care what you do, but don't destroy this country. Don't destroy North Korea. Don't destroy Guam. Don't destroy Hawaii. Don't destroy any other lesser island territories of the U.S. It's like boys having a big to see how big and tough they are. That's all it is. It's just two little boys trying to tell each other how big and how tough they are. My this is better than yours and everything else. I'll be honest with you, I'm not interested. But you know what? When it has nuclear implications, that's when things start to get scary. And you know what? Everyone does not like America for various reasons. But 45 just added fuel to keeps adding fuel to the fire. So therefore, I'm gonna simmer down. But this 45 is gonna give people record numbers of heart attacks and heart-related issues because of this nonsensical BS. Kyler, do something about this, please. Get him off my radar. Get him off my radar, Kyler. Get him off my radar.
Look, I'm not gonna hurt you. No, listen. I just saw your phone. Listen, it's amazing that we've come this far, man. We have a 71-year-old having a nuclear pissing contest with a 34-year-old Kim Jong-un, and Trump's rhetoric has ratcheted this conflict up to what it was, right? What it was before this was just, a war of words, just a random pissing contest, North Korea would say something off the wall, we would be all like, we'll just bring some sanctions to them, and we won't have to hear from them. But now, I think I brought up on this podcast before that Kim Jong-un has found somebody that's older than him, that's the equivalent of him, right? So, maybe Donald Trump was catching up on Game of Thrones before this or something, before he got up and said, if North Korea keep talking, we're going to rain fire and fury on them. Sounding like he Daenerys Targaryen or something, like fire and blood. Like, was he watching Game of Thrones before he said it? Like, I just, with Donald Trump, I just don't understand why, sometimes the rhetoric needs to be calmed down. The rhetoric just needs to be calmed down sometimes, you know. Sometimes your rhetoric can put you in a fight and back you in a corner that you don't want to be in. And that's the corner that Donald Trump has this country in. Now North Korea said, all right, our next missile test is gonna be 5 to 10 miles away from the island of Guam. What you gonna do now, Trump? It sound like they're the wrestling promo or something. Like, I did this, now I gotta do that. Like, I just think that, the rhetoric needs to be calmed down. There needs to be a diplomatic solution because we don't want another Korean War. So many people will be destroyed. I think they said that there's like 25 to 30,000 U.S. troops stationed in that peninsula, most in South Korea and Japan. There's certain things that you don't do. And, this is Donald Trump's first like real test, but there are certain things that you don't do. You don't just say to an unstable leader who's in the third generation of being a dictatorship, you don't match his language and say, well, we'll wipe you off the face of the map. Like, some things just don't need to be stated. Some things just need to be diplomatically handled. And I hope the generals, calm Donald Trump down. Tell him, don't use no more rhetoric when it comes to matching rhetorical wits with Kim Jong-un, because all you do is just give Kim Jong-un the fire that he needs and stuff. It just wasn't a good look for Donald Trump to basically, without saying it, say it's a red line that they test another nuke. Now, they've been testing nukes forever now. Every time he says don't test a nuke, they test a nuke. So, there's some things that you just don't do. They've been testing missiles to get a response. There's people like North Korea. North Korea is representative of people. There are people that do things just to get a reaction out of you. That's what North Korea wants. North Korea wants attention. North Korea is there to, buffer United States interests, and they're doing their job. That's why China doesn't really do much to stop them, right? So, President Trump just doesn't understand how the world works. And he needs to understand that there's no option with war that won't kill U.S. troops. So we need to just do a diplomatic solution, calm down, stop matching rhetorical wits with Kim Jong-un, and go on to the next one. All right, so we're moving on. So Amina was talking. As y'all know, we were doing a new segment called "Explain Yourself." So Amina finds herself in the spotlight once again because she was talking about voting. Go ahead and explain yourself, Amina. I know Matt. Matt's ears perk up every time somebody says voting in the Black community. So go ahead.
Hold on, okay. What I made a status. I technically didn't make a status. What happened was I shared an article and wrote my very intelligent opinion on it. And, Kylan commented on it. He asked me talking about it, so I'm going to talk about it. Okay. I'm not against voting. If people want to stand in a line, it's referring to Black people. If Black people want to stand in a line and vote for Caucasians, they have no vested interest in our communities. That's on them. They'll just have to deal with the consequences of their vote when they come. If you want to vote for a Black person that has a white mindset, who serves really for the betterment of the white community and doesn't serve your own, then that's fine too. You just have to deal with the consequences. No president to date, from George Washington to Donald Trump, has ever spoke on the plight of the Black community, which is Black man, woman, and child. No campaign has been ran where the really bad situations that involve us as a people were discussed. Everyone else over the last over 200 years that presidential elections have been going on has gotten their piece of the pie. Chinese, Korean, Vietnamese, um, Arabs, Hasidic Jews, Catholics, gays, all these groups have benefited from certain particular presidents over history from being in office. Black people in the general, we have not. Each president that gets elected, they serve their time. Black people were still at the bottom of the total poll in the country as far as economics. Businesses were at the bottom of the total poll. Education in the hood is at the bottom of the totem pole. Black marriages are at an all-time low in the country while voting. Most 80% of black children grow up in a home never knowing what it's like to live with their biological father. And those are the same people that run to go vote. No candidate has ever spoken to me as a black woman. So why would I, as a black woman, go vote for someone that doesn't speak for me? I'm not going to benefit from a vote. Barack Obama spent 8 years in the White House. The only people that did not benefit from that in the long run was us. Everyone else got what they wanted because they didn't look at him as a figure. They band together and whatever they needed, they got. Look at the LGBT community. All that fighting and all that protesting they've done over the years got what they wanted. Now, us on the other hand, we fight, we protest. We still get shot by the cops. We still end up missing. Nearly 100,000 black women and girls are missing in the country right now. Nobody knows where they are. And this is all in a country where black people have an obsession with voting. The Amish don't vote, and they have booming communities. They run a whole lot of the rural areas in this country. Go out there to Lancaster County, which is 2 hours away from Philadelphia. They run Lancaster County, and they don't vote in America's presidential elections. They don't care who's in the White House because it doesn't impact them. Their communities are set. They have everything they need, and they don't vote. What's the point of voting when year after year our communities are still going to be in the same predicament? Voting is not the answer. Pulling economic resources and like minds to build our communities up and get negative statistics that reflect in our communities to go up. If voting was the answer, everything bad in the hood, it would not be. I live in the Frankfurt section of Philadelphia. What I see is drug addicts, opiates, this, that, and the third. People strung out, heroin, meth. And this is the city, Philadelphia has been voting Democrat for almost the last 80 years. Democrats have been destroying the city of Philadelphia for almost 80 years. Yet no one feels as though something needs to be done. You keep voting the same people in. It's not the exact same person in the body, but it's the mindset. All politicians are the same, no matter what race they are, because they all follow the same creed, the same code. It don't matter who you elect. They're all the same. You can vote Republican, Green Party, Democrat, Independent. It don't matter. They're all the same. As Tupac once said in the 90s, Republicans and Democrats are all the same. They're all gang members. They serve the vested interests of themselves and the people around them, but they don't serve the vested interests of the people. We have no time to be running back and forth to voting locations every 4 years, and we're not benefiting from it. It's just a situation that needs to be sent to the emergency room to get a cast on, but you're at home in your bathroom or your bedroom and you're putting a band-aid on it, knowing full well you need to get to the emergency room because it's broken and not a little cut or scrape. What's the point of voting when black youth are still going to be shot by the police, murdered by the police? What's the point? I don't know the boy name, but just another boy was murdered by the cops just recently. Like I think this past week or so. I don't know the circumstances of the case, but I'll look into it. But what's the point of voting? Black people have been voting since basically shortly after the Civil War, and we have not benefited from any. We're still the lowest paid individuals in the country. We don't have successful families flourishing in the hood as black people. Our children are a mess. Our children are suffering and dying. And voting, and for what? What positivity are we getting out of voting? How is voting uplifting our community and our people? It's not. If it was, the hood would look identical to the suburbs, and it doesn't. Want to know why the suburbs doesn't look like the hood? Because the people in the suburbs, unlike the hood, when negative things move into a suburb or they hear about it, they won't allow that. In the suburbs, you will not find poppy stores, dollar stores. You won't find certain things. You won't find Chinese takeouts. When the people out there find out that stuff is trying to move in their community, they band together and they make sure that stuff don't come in the community. That's why you don't find that stuff out there. But you go in the hood and black people, they allow stop and goes, poppy stores, Chinese takeout, all these dollar stores all over the place. The power of our community is not in a voting booth every 4 years. The power is in economics. We're not on a total collective accord in our community. Nothing can be done in our community unless every black soul gets on the same accord in order for us to move along as a people. You have black people right now in their very own biological blood family that they grew up with that don't even agree on certain topics. But they run in to vote every 4 years. And for what? Voting continues to divide families and communities. Got the Democrats over there, the Republicans over there. It's not unity. If we're going to do something as a people, we need to pull out economic resources, build things. Because this voting stuff is just not happening. It doesn't make sense.
All right. Here you go. There you go. What you feel, what you're thinking is valid. What you're saying is valid. What is going through your mind is valid. I cannot begin to tell you how many times I've heard that. I will not defend. There's nothing to defend that. But I will say this. It is true that, let's call it for what it is. It is systematic. It is a systematic way. The America is systematically trying to eradicate the black race, not just here in America,
Systematic
everywhere.
racism.
Systematically eradicate
Right.
the black race. Think about this. Africa, look, let me think. Even the Europeans are trying to claim land in Africa, and you sitting there, hold on. First things first, we were here. Y'all just got here. I mean, look, y'all been buying from us for a millennia, and now y'all want to own stuff? I think not. The thing is simply this. I was about to get off track a little bit. The lack of education, the lack of so many things. It's been, if you look through the history of America, gerrymandering, redlining, the whole bit. I mean, if you look at how the AFL was built, you know, the history of the AFL and how they emerged and everything else. A lot of black players who played in these AFL cities like Kansas City, they had a hard time finding a house because simply you were black. Or that's just the systematic way was redlining. White flight was another reason. So therefore, those who were poor, impoverished, or didn't have the resources to move out stayed in this case Philadelphia. In this case, particularly Philadelphia. Now, politicians do lie. I mean,
they all lie.
Put your gun down and hold your horses. We know that they're doing what any salesman do. Tell you enough information to say, hey, if you vote for me, I'll do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. This is where we as a people need to do our homework. If we as a people want to take back what is not so much rightfully ours, let's call it before it is, but we need to, you know what? We've had enough. We give you every ample opportunity to say what you're going to say, do what you're going to do, and there is no progress being made. We're going to have to take a progressive stance and do it ourselves. Now, I admit, I'm putting business out there. I am a registered Democrat, but I want out. But the reason I cannot want out because here in Pennsylvania there is a closed primary system. That's what's keeping me in. If there's no closed primary system, I will be independent. In fact, much of the country is independent. Much of the country is really purple. You go either red or blue. You're looking about 20% each way. But 60% of the country is actually purple. And a good small majority, it's a very, very small minority. It's about, whether it be libertarian, green, or otherwise, it's about 5%. About 5-10%. But if you lump them in there, they're all purple. The game, if you ever notice, here in the East in particular, is very progressive. The West Coast is very progressive. However, and this is from my experience, the South is not. Any race you talk to, the South is not progressive. They are very conservative. They are more or less conservative, more or less. If the more rural you go, the more conservative it gets. It gets into a very big bubble. But let me get back to where I need to be. To say your vote, to vote is important to a degree. that's only a percentage of what it is that we need to do for our neighborhood. It is a percentage. It's not the end. Is that the be all the end all things? It is not. It is a percentage. It's you're if and you are right. You should support somebody that is your voice. If person A and person B is not your voice, I'm sorry to tell you, I have no dog in this fight because they are not my. That is not my. They don't have my voice, my interests involved here. Which brings me back to this election, this damned election. You think about this. Remember what I said? The Democratic National Convention got in its own way. Why? It's simple. Because much of the country, particularly us, the millennials, 18 to 45, pretty much voted for Bernie Sanders. What they made the mistake was, first of all, CNN they gave Hillary more play than Bernie, but then again they gave more Trump the most play. So that's number one. Number two, what Hillary should have did was made Bernie VP or gave some type of office to get all your supporters, which was a very good chunk of them, and it's a lot of people, over to your side, Miss Hillary, Madam Secretary,